This afternoon, I want to reach out to those of you who are separated from your partner but not divorced. This can be such a difficult place to be and such a challenging spot to be in, especially when you feel like you're the only one who ever reaches out to your partner. You send him texts. You're the first one to pick up the phone and call. He doesn't reach out to you. It can be so demoralizing. It can make you feel like he's already done with the relationship, like they don't want to be with you anymore and that relationship is maybe really over. This isn't necessarily the case, and that's what I want to talk to you about today is what do you do when you're separated and it seems like your partner's okay, but you're definitely not. Guys, I am Rachael Sloan. I help anxious people save their marriages by overcoming the intrusive thoughts that threaten them. In just 30 days, it is possible to get rid of those intrusive thoughts for good. And the impact that has on your marriage could be the difference between staying married and getting divorced. If you would like some one-on-one help overcoming your intrusive thoughts, please click the link in the description below and book a free strategy call with me. Talk about what's going on for you and how I can help. But today what I want to talk about is what do you do? What do you do when you've had that last terrible fight, right? You both said horrible things. You decided you needed some time apart, some space for each of you to work on yourselves. But when you're separated, you start to miss your partner. You start to want to reconnect with them. You're not ready for this marriage to be over. You're not ready for divorce. So you text and you call and you reach out and you find excuses to contact them. And maybe they even seem happy to talk to you when you reach out, but they never initiate it. I hear this a lot, especially from women, but this also can happen to you guys, that they reach out to their partner all the time, and even though he seems happy to talk to them, he doesn't ever initiate. He doesn't ever pick up the phone first. And it can drive you crazy. It can make that anxiety just well up and become overwhelming. Why isn't he calling? Why isn't he texting? Why am I the one who has to reach out all the time? Asking yourself those questions, spiraling in that anxiety, is not going to help you. You cannot answer those questions. You cannot know the answer for certain, and you are only going to make your anxiety worse and drive yourself crazy trying to figure it out. So I want you to start asking yourself a better question. Instead of asking, why is he not reaching out to me? Ask yourself, what am I making it mean that he isn't reaching out? What am I making it mean about me, about him, about our marriage? This is such an important question. What does it mean that he's not reaching out to you? You might be making it mean that he doesn't love you anymore, that he wants a divorce, that your marriage is over, right? You might be making it mean that you did something wrong, that you ruined the best relationship you've ever had. You might be making it mean that you've already lost this person that you love so much. Right? These, of course, you feel horrible, right? Of course you feel anxious and alone and desperate if you are making the fact that he's not texting or calling first mean that this is the end. This is the end of your marriage. But guys, these are not facts. This is not absolutely what that means. The universe is not going to come to you and say, yep, the fact that he's not texting first means your marriage is over. It's done. No, these are thoughts. These are thoughts you are having. It is so important to separate your thought from the actual circumstance, because here's the actual circumstance. There are two people, two humans living apart. Sometimes one of them calls the other. Sometimes one of them texts the other. That is the objective circumstance. When you look at that circumstance through your lens from where you are, you say, well, he's never texting first because the marriage is over. He doesn't love me anymore. He wants a divorce. I've lost this person. I've lost this marriage. But that's not the only way to look at this circumstance. I might look at this circumstance and say, he doesn't text first because he's so confused and filled with regret that he doesn't know what to say. He doesn't know how to reach out. That could be true. I might look at that circumstance, these two people apart, one messaging the other. I might think, gosh, he really meant it when he said he needs to work on himself. He doesn't like who he's become. He feels like he's lost himself in this marriage. He doesn't know what he wants. There he is trying to figure that out. That's why he's not reaching out first. He really is focused on his own thoughts, his own insecurities, his own challenges, and trying to figure out who he is and how to move forward in this marriage. I might even look at that circumstance, look at the two of you apart, and just think, gosh, isn't it crazy how different people are? Because I have a dear friend, my best friend since childhood. I never get a phone call from her first, ever. I am always the one who reaches out. And you know what, when we talk for hours. She listens, she's deeply invested in what's going on in my life. We have a beautiful, wonderful relationship. If I took her never reaching out first as a sign that she doesn't care about me, that she doesn't love me, that this friendship is going nowhere, that it's not a real relationship, I would miss out on the wonderful time we have together. I would miss out on the love and the connection I get from her. Because you know what? We're just different kinds of people. I'm the kind who reaches out. She's the kind who it doesn't even occur to her perhaps to pick up the phone, but she's so happy when we do. The same could be true of your partner. Maybe he's just not the kind of guy who picks up the phone first. That feels a lot different than he doesn't love me. The idea that he doesn't pick up the phone because he doesn't know what to say. He doesn't have the words. He regrets what he did. He still feels angry, right? All of those things, he doesn't understand what's going on with him. He doesn't know what to say, how to connect with you. That feels very different than he doesn't love me anymore. This marriage is over. He wants a divorce. And yes, I will grant that it doesn't feel great to think that maybe he's still angry. Maybe he doesn't know how to talk to me, right? You might be thinking, well, gosh, after 20 years together, he should know how to talk to me, right? How many conversations have I had with this guy? And you know, maybe that's true. It still doesn't feel amazing, but I tell you what, it feels way better than thinking this marriage is over. He doesn't love me. We're headed for divorce. So it's really important if you are separated and your spouse seems to be dealing with it easily, right? Or that's what you think because they're not reaching out to you and telling you that they miss you or initiating a conversation with you. If you're in that place, if you're feeling frantic, if you're feeling desperate, if you feel like your marriage is slipping through your fingers, you have got to start challenging the assumptions you are making. What are you making your partner's actions or lack of actions mean about you, about them, about the marriage? Take this a step further. When you make it mean that, what do? How do you feel? How do you act? How does that play out for you? For instance, if you take the fact that he doesn't call first to mean that he doesn't love you, you probably feel rejected. If you take it to mean that he wants a divorce and your marriage is over, you may feel desperate. What do you do when you feel rejected? What do you do when you feel desperate? Do you call or text him too often? Do you ruminate on your thoughts? Do you relive every moment of the last fight you had and all the things that you said or did wrong, or that he said or did wrong? Do you imagine in your mind, does it play out like a movie, them leaving you, you being alone, not able to find anyone else, never being loved, dying alone even? Do you binge on ice cream or wine or Netflix or maybe go on a shopping spree to try to numb those emotions? These are all really common behaviors that flow from feeling rejected and feeling desperate. But what do those actions do for you? Where do they take you? You end up experiencing being unloved. Like you literally can live through it in your mind. It's like you live through a divorce that has not happened yet. You live through your partner leaving you, go through all of that emotional drama. They haven't done it yet, right? You can take yourself through this whole experience of losing them when you haven't lost them yet. You also don't behave in a very loving way towards yourself. You overeat, you overdrink, you stay up all night watching movies or scouring the internet for answers, right? You don't behave in ways that are constructive self-care, constructive self-love. So the end result, when you have these thoughts about what him not calling first means, when you have those thoughts and they lead to the feelings of desperation or rejection, they lead to all of these behaviors, what you end up having is that you don't feel loved, not by your husband, not by yourself. You may even find yourself reaching out so much, seeking reassurance, seeking connection, that they stop answering or they stop responding because they really are trying to get a handle on their own brain, on their own anxieties, on their own insecurities, and you're not giving them the space to do that. So I want to be really clear here. I'm not saying that you need to change your behaviors. I'm not saying you should stop calling or stop texting. In fact, it might be wonderful that you are calling and texting. That might be something that is keeping your partner going and keeping them connected to you. They might love that. I'm not saying that you should change any actions you're taking at all. Do not force yourself not to call them. Do not fight your brain when it starts to spiral into this like doomsday spiral. Do not force yourself not to watch Netflix or binge on ice cream. Don't change your actions. If you want to start to feel better, if you want to be able to feel connected to your partner and have hope for the future of your marriage, what you have to do is challenge your assumptions, challenge your thoughts. They aren't calling you first. What are you making that mean about your marriage, about your partner, about you? What are you making it mean? What other explanations could there be for that behavior or that lack of behavior? What evidence can you find to support those other explanations? Refuse to accept your initial interpretation as a cold, hard fact, because that interpretation, that belief that it means that they don't love you, that you're headed for divorce, that the marriage is over, that interpretation is based on your own fears, on your own insecurities, on your own doubts. It is not based in absolute reality. It is based on your own anxieties, right? This is a biased perspective, so question it. What else could be true? How do you know? How could that be more likely than what you've been thinking? Challenging these assumptions will help you start to change your thoughts. And it'll help you see that the way you're viewing the situation isn't necessarily the truth, the absolute fact. Other things could be going on. There are other perspectives available to you. As your thoughts start to change, as you start to loosen this grip, this certainty that he doesn't love you anymore, that he's definitely wants a divorce, that this relationship is over, as you start to let go of these fears, you'll find that your emotions change. You don't feel so rejected. You don't feel so desperate. As those emotions lighten, your behaviors will change as well. Your thoughts always create your emotions, and your actions always stem from those emotions. So do not try to change your actions. Do not try to make yourself behave differently than you are now. Instead, do the work on your own thoughts. Challenge your assumptions. If your partner isn't reaching out to you first in your separation, what are you making that mean? Why is it a problem that they're not texting first, that they're not calling first? Get curious, explore your brain, understand what beliefs are there, and start to challenge them one by one. Look for alternate explanations. Look for evidence to support them. I think you will be very surprised at what you find if you widen your view, widen your perspective, and really try to look at things from all angles. Because the fact that your partner doesn't call first does not mean he doesn't love you anymore. It does not mean that you are definitely headed for divorce. It does not mean your marriage is over. There are so many other perspectives, possibilities, and ways to look at this situation that will not only help you feel better, but help you to really cultivate a real connection with your partner based on what both of you really want as you are working with your own minds, instead of just replaying this cycle of insecurities and anxieties that might be a lot of what got you to this point in the first place. I hope this was helpful. Any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them below. And those of you watching on YouTube, please click subscribe. Click that little bell to turn on notifications, because I'm going to be putting out a lot of videos to help you deal with your anxiety in every stage of your relationship so that you can overcome your intrusive thoughts and enjoy the marriage, enjoy the relationship that you deserve and that you want. Thanks for joining me. I will see you soon.